This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming.
So I was surprised when I first booted up the new Far Harbor DLC to find out that there are some new legendary weapon effects that got added. Now, while I would agree that most of these effects aren't as good as some of the legendary weapon effects from the vanilla game, the top 3 or 4 are pretty good to great, while the lowest 3 are decent improvements in general. These will be the top 7 best of the new legendary weapon effects that were added with the Far Harbor DLC for Fallout 4. Number 7, the Blazing Effect. So this effect, along with 3 other effects on this list, can only work on melee weapons and only occasionally activate upon successfully blocking an enemy attack, specifically an enemy melee attack. Now, the Blazing Effect has a 25% chance to deal 50 incendiary damage upon successfully blocking an enemy melee attack. Like some of the other legendary effects that become active after blocking, you shouldn't really rely on this ability to massively affect your character's damage or anything. Now, for melee weapons in general, you're still going to be better off with something like either the Wounding or Furious weapon effects. That said, it's better to have the Blazing Effect than to not have it at all, but I figured I'd go ahead and I'd include it on this list anyway. Number 6, the Hitmans Effect. This effect increases damage while aiming down the sight of your gun. You get a 10% damage boost with the Hitman's Effect while aiming. Obviously, there are other legendary weapon effects from the vanilla game that are far better, but I'd rather have this on the gun that I'm using than not have any legendary weapon effects at all. I would suspect most people that play Fallout 4 have or regularly aim with their weapons before firing. Having a 10% boost to damage while doing so isn't necessarily a bad thing. It would be cool, though, if this particular effect specifically could be combined with other legendary effects. Now, it is worth mentioning if you help chase an Acadia in the Far Harbor DLC, she will give you an Institute laser pistol that has the Hitman's Effect. Number 5, the Charged Effect. Like the Blazing Effect, the Charged Effect deals damage by simply blocking with a melee weapon. You get a 10% chance to deal 100 electrical damage if this effect is activated. Now, since this effect's ability is somewhat unreliable and can be inconsistent, much like the Blazing Effect, I wouldn't recommend that you rely on it if you get into a really tight spot. That said, like with the Blazing Effect, it's better to have it on your weapon to not have any legendary weapon effects at all. I suspect this effect, along with the other 2 legendary weapon effects like it, they got added because of the 1.5 update for Fallout 4, which added the revamped version of Survival Mode. I haven't done a melee build for Survival yet, but apparently if you play and use melee weapons, there are dire consequences for not blocking in that difficulty. Since you would be blocking in that difficulty anyway, maybe that's why you have the Blazing and the Charged Effect. Number 4, the Defiant Effect. The Defiant Effect simply doubles the damage on the last shot of a magazine with ranged weapons. So feasibly, you could have a gun with a low magazine size like the double-barrel shotgun and always deal more damage than normal on your second or last shot. Or you could have weapons with a magazine size of 1, like the Fat Man, the missile launcher, or harpoon gun, and deal even more damage than normal, just all of the time. While I would argue this isn't quite as good as the 2-shot effect in my opinion, this would be really good on weapons with low magazine sizes or on weapons with relatively long reload times. And remember guys, hashtag buff money shot for Borderlands 2. Number 3, the Frigid Effect. I would say that this is the best of the melee blocking legendary weapon effects that got added with the Far Harbor DLC. This ability gives you a 20% chance to freeze the enemy upon blocking their melee attack. Now, unlike the effect added with a cryo grenade where enemies just move like a little slower, this effect legitimately freezes an enemy in place, and once they're frozen, this opens them up for attacks with your melee weapons to quickly finish them off. Now, again, while I would say that the Furious or wounding effects from the vanilla game are better, the Frigid effect would be useful if you manage to get it to trigger in combat. Freezing one enemy can turn the tide of combat in your favor in survival mode. That said, don't count on this ability as it's not 100% reliable. Number 2. The M4 Carbine Effect. Now, I know this sounds like a gun, but it's actually the name of a legendary weapon effect or a legendary mod for ranged weapons. This is an effect that essentially makes any weapon it's applied to use 5.56 ammo as opposed to the ammo types that they would normally use, and also adds a rapid legendary weapon effect as well. For those of you that have played through the Far Harbor DLC and acquired the December's Child, you may have recognized this legendary weapon effect on that weapon. Now, the M4 Carbine effect doesn't boost or decrease damage draw. However, you could feasibly apply this weapon effect via console commands on certain weapons and suddenly have vastly cheaper and more plentiful ammo to use with those particular weapons. So maybe, for example, this would go really well with the 44 caliber pistol, or maybe even the Gauss rifle, and maybe even the Fat Man launcher. This is a pretty cool weapon effect in my opinion, and I hope that this gets expanded with other ammo types in the future. Number 1. The Deadeye Effect. Of all of the legendary weapon effects listed, I think this is probably my favorite. What the Deadeye effect does is it slows down time while aiming down the sight of your gun. Now, this effect is similar to how the Martyr effect works for armor pieces. However, instead of waiting for your health to deplete, you just aim down the sight. However, keep in mind that both of these effects are similar to how Jet affects the game when you use Jet. This effect seems to be only active for about 3 to 4 seconds or so. Even still, this ability to slow down time does increase fire rate somewhat, as well as reduces recoil on most weapons. The other nice thing about the Deadeye effect is that this ability can be activated over and over again as long as you wait a second or two at no cost to you. So you could feasibly aim, activate this effect, and then wait a second or two to then activate it again by just simply aiming down the sight. Anyway guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, and as always, take care and I'll see y'all next time.